Hi there. We've heard all about the power of song, the power of music, and the power of storytelling. And now we're going to hear from some other people who are working with groups to empower others and also to create, as we were talking before, about open spaces where people can actually have a go at doing something. So with us we have Orla Ní Hélène from the Kevin Street Writers Group, and she's got people coming from Tipperary to her writers group. Sean Thomas from Walk, which is a fantastic organisation for people who perhaps have slightly more special needs, but maybe not, for arts. Cathal O'Donovan from a fantastic drama group called No Drama, which is one of the few open drama places where you can just go and have a go. And back when I was younger, there was a lot more drama groups. Now, if you go to the Drama League of Ireland, there is 2 listed, for Dublin at the moment. And finally, Owen here, who is from RAID, Recovery Through Art and Drama. So another kind of very interesting set of presentations. So we can start with you, Orla. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the Kevin Street Writers Group and how people find you?
Well, in fact, I need to mention first that before the Kevin Street Writers Group were the Warren Mount, Readers and Writers Group, which started as a book club, and even as my MS began to make itself more felt in my life, there was one thing I knew for sure. It didn't bother me whether I was able to walk into a room and as a facilitator or whether I was going to need to be wheeled or pushed or even almost facilitated from my bed on Skype or something. That didn't bother me. Just once I could be there making that connection with people and seeing people, well, what can I say, but just grow, develop that spark of creativity, which just creates the energy and that good feeling. So that came first, and as I say, I used to ask people in the Warren Mount group to write some of their own stories, which they did, and people loved that so much. And I thought, in fact, I suppose it was during another MS episode, and I was laid low, so I had a few weeks barely able to move out of my bed, but in fact I was able to think. So in fact, I decided if the energy comes back to me at all, one of the first things I'm going to do is get to Kevin Street Library and ask if I might try and set up a writers group. And like that as well, I said to the librarian, can I give this a go voluntarily? And she was delighted and very happy to accommodate us. And in the course of that, I have been able to get some funding, not a huge amount, but maybe in my case, it's not absolutely critical, but I can kind of plough it back into the group. We produced a little book recently and have made the odd podcast. And I suppose, the older I get, the more kind of firmly I believe that it is a crazy world, and maybe I suppose you could say with the MS I have to kind of cope with whatever issues of depression. I think in fact even leaving the MS out of it, I don't think I ever would have been very happy in the world, or maybe the kind of road I might have been felt I was being challenged or channeled rather down. So maybe I can't say it is just because of health limitations that sometimes I have dark days. But as I say, I always knew, even when things were pretty grim, there was one thing I was going to live for, and that was to connect with people creatively. And regardless of other ways that MS might have, as I say, made itself felt in my life, and even times when I wasn't even, wouldn't be even able to scoot around the place, I would still think to myself, well, I listened to that audiobook, and when I, am back on my feet or back on my wheels, I'll be able to share this with people, and that might inspire other people or just
I
create the
think
energy.
you're very inspiring yourself, Orla, I have to say, because I've had the pleasure of attending during the summer the writing groups that Orla facilitates, and it is the most wonderful space of kind of writing group there. You find it under Kevin Street Writers Group?
You're the 5-star participant.
I don't know that. So it's under Kevin Street Writers Group, isn't it, in terms of email? And there is a mobile attached there. So at the moment it's moving around because Kevin Street's library is being put together. But what you've got here is an example of an open space again where people can go and have a go, and it doesn't matter what your level is at. And the fact that she's got, truthfully, somebody coming from Tipperary kind of comes to the writers group. So thank you very much, Orla.
And just one other thing, in fact, as I say, the older I get, and leaving the health issues aside altogether, I do think it's becoming a crazy world, and I would be almost more worried about the people who look like they're well adjusted and functioning normally than the rest of us, bewildered, depressed, maybe slightly unhinged even. As I say, that belief is becoming more central.
That's the value of the arts. So thank you very much, Orla.
Oh, the arts are the life and soul saver. That's
absolutely.
it.
And now we have Sean Thomas from Walk, and again, somebody who could probably talk for the entire afternoon, and I'm going to have to cut short. And apologies to all the speakers, because that's what my job is today, to be the person who's a timekeeper a little bit.
Okay, thanks very much. Yeah, my name's Sean Thompson. I work for Walk. I suppose I'm interested in this from two areas that I've been involved in the community arts myself for the last 6 years as a hobby. And I love the community arts, and I can see the power of it in, increasing confidence, in increasing your social networks, and also just doing really interesting things. So that would be one reason that I'm really happy to be here this afternoon. But the other reason is just to talk a bit about the work that I do with Walk. So I don't know if everyone's heard of Walk. Walk is a community organisation that's based in Dublin. So our mission is to serve the disadvantaged and marginalised, and we carry out our core work by supporting people with learning disabilities. The idea of our work is to work with people from their starting point, to look at what their interests are, and to support them to identify what their interests are. So their interests can be many and varied. So some people have really passionate interest in getting more involved in the arts as part of what they want to do. And that can come from a number of different standpoints. It could come from doing art as a hobby or an interest, or to increase social networks. It could be to do art as a volunteer, to increase your social roles and your involvement in the community, or it can be getting involved in art as a career, as a job. So people want to get involved in the arts in different ways. So I suppose what we try and do is we try and break down the barriers and to work with people, as I say, from their starting points to enable them to reach their goals that they identify themselves. So this would very much be kind of building bridges between other community organisations that are doing different things. And it's great. It's really great to be here this afternoon, actually, just to hear about the different organisations and what you're doing and see what the connections might be there. We also provide opportunities for community members to get involved in the organisation by volunteering and supporting people to access things in their local areas. Could be the arts, or could be a lot of other different things as well. And at the moment as well, we're involved in social enterprise. So we're recreating a disused building in Walkinstown to make that into a community centre to work with the needs of the local community. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ways that, even if we're not an arts organisation per se, that we'd link into the arts. And I think it's so important.
Thank you very much, Sharon. So whilst it's really important, as highlighted earlier on by Jonathan, about the social media as a way of finding things, that can be very random, because just to find a place to go, unless you're referred by somebody who knows it or kind of tells you about it. So this is how I heard about our next speaker here from No Drama. I met somebody who was part of the City Arts Squad and told me about No Drama. If I didn't, I'd have to actually put the word No Drama in. I couldn't put in drama into a search engine to kind of find a drama group. So away to go. Tell us about your group, please.
Okay, well, first of all, it's a real pleasure to be involved in this evening, or this afternoon today. It's really interesting to hear about all the groups that are doing essentially very similar stuff to us. My name is Cathal O'Donovan, and I'm secretary of the No Drama Theatre. And so I think maybe slightly unusually, my involvement in this group is shorter than how long the group has actually existed. I've been there for about 4 years, and the group's been going from about 6 years. And I suppose No Drama grew up out of frustration of the lack of area where people who have an interest in acting and drama, but they couldn't find any place in Dublin city centre. And so this grew up out of social media, out of a forum and boards, and it led to people actually meeting in real life and then setting up just a meeting where people would hold workshops in various different pubs around Dublin. At the moment, we're presently in Sing Street, CBS. So we're in a school that allows us to to put on a full workshop where we typically get between anywhere from 30 to 70 people every Tuesday from 7 to 9, 70 being like the absolute max. And we find that we get people of all different ages. The most common people coming in the door tend to be people shortly out of college or people new to the city. But we get quite a spread of different people who mainly haven't had a long history of being involved in theatre. They might have had some history in their youth or in another location, but they're not very much connected to the quite vibrant Dublin theatre scene. So we're very much amateurs and volunteers who are, kind of putting it together. So what we do is every Tuesday we hold a workshop which is given by one of our members. So we have people who are very much on the track to be involved in theatre in a full-time sort of way, but they're giving back to people who can be complete novices who've never attempted to stand up in front of people before. And I suppose what we get out of it, we all kind of learn more about theatre, but we also, as it's been mentioned quite a bit before, is we get an awful lot of personal development, a lot of building a self-esteem, a lot of just people becoming more comfortable in dealing with groups of people. A lot of people find us through social networks, and I think a lot of people find us by throwing drama, Dublin City Centre into Google. That's my experience. Yeah. But we also get referred from people as well. That seems to be the most common way for people to find us. I suppose to talk today is about enabling spaces and about getting people participatory arts. I suppose that we've been going for 6 years now, and we've been growing year on year, and people who come to it really feel that sense of community, and they get an awful lot of joy out of it. But we're on some level beginning to hit against the ceiling of just simply the venues that we can use in order to accommodate 70 people in a workshop on a given day. In terms of the manpower that you need to make this happen. And I suppose it's very interesting to hear, is this a problem that other people have? Is there anything else I really have to say? It's great. We put on 2 plays every year in various different locations around Dublin. Oh yeah, and we have numerous improv groups that have come out of the basic kind of theatre groups that recently an Improv Festival Ireland was set up by our old chairman to kind of grow the improv scene in Dublin City and in Ireland, I suppose. And so there's constantly new projects getting moving out of No Drama because we can't grow them and contain them, but we enable the people who meet and learn the ethos of us to go out and, you know, try their own hands at things.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And our final speaker in this particular section is Owen, who's going to talk about his organisation RAID, and it's a subject very dear to my heart about the, if you like, the power of the arts to make a change in one's life, you know.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, RAID, it stands for Recovery Through Arts, Drama and Education. Basically, we work with people who are active drug users, mostly from the Dublin 8, but from right across Dublin, but the majority of them come from the Dublin 8 where we're situated, close to St Patrick's Cathedral. RAID was founded about 10 years ago. In that time, we have produced 7 original plays, 1 radio play commissioned for RTE, 3 short films, about 7 documentaries, 6 books of creative writing, and numerous art and painting and sculptural exhibitions. And all that, we take people, as I say, who are drug users. Some of those will be sleeping rough, some will be, a sizable number of them will be living in shelters, and quite a few of them will be living in working class areas like St Teresa's Gardens and so forth. We don't audition people for the parts, so we're not looking for people who are naturally talented or anything like that. So we don't audition people to act. We don't see people with regard who can paint and draw and that type of thing. Basically, most of our group will never have picked up a pencil from primary school to draw anything. Most of them will never have performed, either singing or acting before in public, unless they're drunk or something like that. But basically, they will never have done that. So we have, we're taking them and we work with professional artists to produce plays, to produce exhibitions of art, and to produce the books of creative writing. Now, the relationship with the professional artists, they're very much in the background. They're there more as facilitators. What we do is that we try to get people to tap into their own creativity, to come up with their ideas, to problem solve the problems that arise from it, and then to finally produce the work itself. And it takes a lot of courage on their part and a lot of determination and effort on their part to do it. I mean, they've got to break down the barriers of self-consciousness and so forth in order to get through with this, and it's very difficult for them. When we do finally with work, we bring that work out because we believe that, first of all, it helps challenge the stereotype that people have of drug users. A stereotype would say themselves of swallowed hook, line and sinker. It shows to their own families, their friends and so forth what work they can do, and to the wider public that what work they can produce with they're given an environment whereby they can actually be supported in producing works of art. In regards to using spaces to do it, we have 3 different areas that we're working in. 2 that we've done over the last 10 years and 1 which we're just starting to venture out into. We challenge the traditional galleries and traditional theatres and that sort of stuff to produce the work. And we're quite successful we've argued with them in the early days where they may give us a night here or a night there, but now where we do full-blown productions for maybe a week or so forth in the likes of Smock Alley, the Project, Access Theatre and so forth, and other theatres, and which we produce that work. We also produce work which goes into other non-traditional spaces, like St Patrick's Cathedrals, community centres, that type of stuff. And we exhibit also not only in galleries but in libraries, again in community centres and so forth. To go with that. And our plays are such to say, we put on a play last year which was an opera, and none of them had ever sung before, and which we put part in the Dublin Fringe Festival, and it was played in St Patrick's over 4 nights, and which it was nominated for 2 awards. This year's play, which was on the 1913 lockout, which was played in Smock Alley, we played it for 10 days in our own premises, which we converted into a short theatre for it, for the local community and so forth, and it is now going to play in the NCAD and in Liberty Hall, and it was compared with the actual very favourably with the Risen People that was performing in the Abbey, to an extent that the Abbey people came along to have a look at it to see what we were doing. But and it really makes a difference to people's lives in doing that, because they see themselves something that what they have produced, what they feel that they've done from scratch right through to the end, and it shows that they're quite capable of doing this. Sorry, the third area in terms of venues that we're looking at the moment is that we're trying to look at how we can integrate art into the fabrics of buildings. And we're starting that off with our own building. For instance, this year's project, we're going to be building 2 large, 2-metre-high stained glass windows, which the group are currently designing, and they'll start production of that with the stained glass artist Peter Young in March, and that will be put into our own building. And we're looking at our own building to see other ways in which we can integrate art into the fabric of that building. The idea being is that if we can do that with our building, there's no reason why that can't be done in communities where local people, instead of bringing in artists to do it, bring in artists to support them in producing their own art, in which they can then build into the fabrics of their community centres or even their own houses if they wish to. But it's so that the art then becomes a social element, a social function within society, rather than some elitist practice. So it is. As I said, just if I may just put in a quick plug, is that we are this Thursday is part of the tapestry Robert Balla and Kathy Henderson were involved in the 1913 thing, is going to the NCAD, and our group participated in that tapestry. In fact, the parts of the tapestry that we did were the only parts that weren't designed by Robert Balla. So we're quite proud of that. But it's in the NCAD, and we're performing this Thursday at 5:30 in the NCAD. Our play on 1913 is being performed as part of that show this Thursday at 5:30, which is free, if people want to come along and see it. And then again, we're performing as a benefit for the Simon community in Liberty Hall on March the 4th. We're performing that play as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron.